WeAreRiSE stands for Reimagining the Student Experience, and it is a team of people who are working to look for ways that we can support students and help them complete and achieve their goals better than they currently are.
It's a program made for students and made for students to be at the center.
RISE is an attempt to examine the status quo so that we can look at what's working and what's not working and really begin to examine what processes and what systems we have set up that create barriers for our students.
There are things that to me makes a lot of sense, but from the student's perspective, how did they experience it is something completely different. For example, entrepreneurship. It's something you cannot teach. It has to be experienced. And I see that the RISE is going in that direction. What is our students' experience, and let it guide us. You know, in every contact point that we make a decision in this institution, it has to be led by students' experience.
RISE in a nutshell, for me, is a chance to engage with the administrative side of the school. In all of the other spaces that I'm currently working in, I have, a very strong sense of engagement with the students, but I don't necessarily have access to the planners, the people that are moving and shaking things on campus.
RISE is about connecting dots. We are a huge and complex institution, and I think that we often don't even know all that we have to offer to our students, whether we're talking about academic programs or whether we're talking about student support services. And one of the things that is really important for us to do is to take inventory of all of those resources and programs and to start connecting the dots for ourselves so that we can then connect the dots for students. It's very hard to help a student navigate our systems if we are challenged to navigate them ourselves.
We also wanted to take this opportunity to celebrate some of our successes and re-energize the college across functional roles. So we wanted to bring together students, administrators, faculty, and staff to all collectively work on re-envisioning the college to be more student-centered.
There's a lot of things that have come up from the students about ways that City College could improve. A lot of it's been sort of personal in terms of their own journeys, trying to get through, trying to get their classes, trying to find resources. Some of it has been some of the stuff that's been really great that people don't maybe necessarily know about, and how to just do some better communication about that. And then also just a lot of input in terms of the process that we're going through with the RISE team in terms of how to make sure that we aren't thinking about this just from an administrative viewpoint, but really always going back to centering the students and having their experiences and their voices be the reason that we're doing all of it.
When I first heard about RISE, my first initial thought was, guided pathway. But when it was explained to me that we're trying to reimagine the student's experience, and we need students who actually been through the experience of the college and different maps in their career to come and give their input, I thought maybe I can be one of those people, because I have experienced struggle in school. I might not look like it, but I've experienced a lot of struggle. I would say mechanics that I didn't learn as a younger student that I had to go back and fill in.
I really want City College to do well. So I joined the RISE team with the recommendation of one of my former instructors. I think you'll be good to this project. And after taking a look at it, I said, yeah, I definitely want to be involved in this project. And so here I am.
Trying to help straighten out and spread out some of the courses so they're not all packed in the very first year.
You've been doing this. Okay, thank you.
It's not a cookie cutter approach. It's really meeting each individual student where they are, understanding who they are, getting to know them as human beings, and then figuring out what the right recipe, if you will, is for them to be able to get where they want to go.
How do we become more effective? And what are the things that students need most? We're doing a lot to listen to students with the student advisory team, and having students give us feedback as far as what do you actually need? And we're translating those things into program maps and major clusters, and a lot more guidance for students as they go through our school. A lot of our students are first generation, they have limited support, they don't have the luxury of dedicating their entire focus to school like I did. I didn't have to work, I didn't have to worry about money while I was in school, and I think that's a luxury that a lot of our students don't have. And so the WeAreRiSE team is looking to make our school more effective, to get students to complete in a more timely manner by creating services and guidance that we really think students need.
And the way that the admissions process and matriculation process is set up, it's pretty fragmented, so you learn as you go. And the downside to that is that sometimes just kind of learning as you go really takes you off your path and extends your stay here in school.
The WeAreRiSE team is trying to make sure that students get a fair chance of going through the process without having to spend so long and so much money while they're going through their college experience.
It helps to know that the faculty and everybody actually cares in order to improve and do something for the school in order for the students to do better.
It's everything about City College. It's what students need to be successful. Anything from the temperature in the room, the colors on the wall, where do you park, where do you pay, where do you see a counselor?
It's an attempt to start listening to everybody versus this is how it's been done and this is how it's going to keep on going and move forward. I think that it's an attempt to look at the student in a more holistic approach. Look at the student in more of not just what classes they need, but what support they need to do well in those classes.
I think Easy Dash is the best cop in that entire thing.
We have to change the way some of the things we do that are not working because if we keep on doing the same thing, we cannot expect a different result. So I think at times we have to be bold enough and take the risk of doing new things.
I came into the WeAreRiSE Reimagining the Student Experience project with a little bit of trepidation, let's say. I was a bit of a resistor. I wanted to fight this top-down business model view of education. And so I joined because I figured the best way to do that is from the inside and to make sure that I was involved in the conversations. I have found that everything about that decision has been positive for me. I have become more convinced of how important this project is. I've become more convinced of how needed this project is, of how much students here do need things to be reimagined, do need some things to be improved. And so I'm, really less concerned now about this sort of, that there obviously are the top-down kind of mechanisms that are trying to regulate this, but I really love that WeAreRiSE is sort of City College's way to respond to that and maybe even to resist it a little bit, and instead to make it our own and to make it a project that we're going to find useful for our community.
The easier you make it for people to graduate, the easier you make it for people to go from one end to the other, is that will revamp your population.
Okay. So the first semester
if not, nobody wants to come.
This whole project is bigger than me. We are spearheading a project that is way bigger than you and I, or way bigger than the school itself. It impacts people's lives.
We only have the perspective of our role, but together, collectively, we can create something that will help students achieve a whole lot more.
We're all talking about the same thing. We don't all agree, but we're all talking in a way that is respectful and is making progress and is re-examining what we're doing through the frame of the students and through the frame of the person that needs to navigate the system who doesn't have the social capital or knowledge of the institution to do it.
Having been chosen as the student advisor for WeAreRiSE is such a great honor, and I think blessing, an opportunity for me to be able to voice out not only my opinions, but also on behalf of the other students.
If you have any students with disabilities, they can come into the DSPS.
I'm very excited about the work what WeAreRiSE is doing. Asking a lot of important questions. I think to me, one important question is, we're all doing our jobs. How good are we at it? And let's ask our student for the feedback, because that really is the reason why we all have jobs.
There's a lot of anticipation for the future that we have to do, and that means that we've got to have a very open mind, a very sort of like, very agile way of doing things, so we can easily just switch things when it is necessary to make our students feel that they are prepared for that world out there.
If there is anybody who is concerned or resistant or has questions, that absolutely you should get involved. You are exactly the person that we need involved in this project. In much the same way that I came to it from a place of maybe being a little worried about what was going to be happening. Those are absolutely the voices of the folks that we need coming in, asking those questions, keeping a check, making sure that we're designing this with City College and students as the center.
I think City College is on its way. I feel like we're determined to change things that are not working, to do things differently, and to be more impactful in the type of service we offer to our students.
I do think that ultimately we're going to get to a place where we ring the right chords at the same time and create music, right? Create a harmonious environment that's all about balance. It will be at times a difficult journey, but in the end it will all be worth it.
And if we could just really have everybody on board and looking at it from that holistic point of view, I think we can really enhance students' experience and we can get them more engaged in the process, and they would look at they're also a valuable stakeholder in this entire new community, or reinvigorated community that we would like to start.
And I really hope that we can stay focused on what we need to do as an institution to serve our students, and kind of first and foremost see each other as human beings, assume the best intent, enter into a room assuming that the person in front of you is doing their best work and they're doing what they think is the best thing for students. And be kind and be empathetic and be compassionate, because again, you don't know who's in front of you. You don't know what struggles they walked into the day with, and you don't know what is motivating them to do what they're doing. So assuming the best intent in any of the spaces that we're going into is just a basic first step in order to be able to continue the dialogue that's going to be challenging, because running an institution this size is going to have challenges, and we're going to run up against things that we don't agree on. But if we can be compassionate with one another, if we can be empathetic, if we can assume the best intent, we can have productive conversations, we can come to compromises, we can make decisions that will help our students and to make us a better institution.
I am RISE.
I am RISE.
I am We Are.
We are.
You are.
RISE.
RISE. We are RISE.
That's about it.
Thank you, Brian.
I'm glad to be here.